Songwriters, do you struggle to write good melodies? Do you even know what a good melody is? What if I were to tell you I've created a system through which any songwriter will be able to write the perfect melodies for all their songs moving forward? Welcome back to my channel. R.E.M here. I hope you're doing well. For today's episode of Impactful Songwriting, I'd like to share with you my system for creating the right melody for your song every time. If you think about it, melody is like the face of a song. It's the thing that everybody's attention zoom in on. And if you feel that your songs are not really reaching people, if there are difference in quality between the songs you write and the songs your heroes write, if you don't feel that the songs are not as good as you like it to be, the chances are if you improve your melody writing chops, it will make a big difference in terms of how you think your songs will come across. I've analyzed dozens of great songs to figure out what is good about them, and then I've come up with a system that is made up of a few key concepts. And once you understand these concepts, you will stop hearing the melodies the same way, and you will totally start to understand how the melody is fitting with the music. And if you're writing or working on a song and you look at your melodies, you will be able to tell, okay, so it is not good enough yet, and here are the reasons why, and here are how I can change it to improve and create a better melody. Before I get into my series, I will caveat by saying that a great melody is not always necessary to create great songs. Some songs rely on the strength of words alone or performance in terms of the singer or the main instruments or lead voices' ability to deliver something or improvise something. It could be the song strength might be in the rhythm or in the riffs. There are other elements that can work together to make the song great, and if the melody isn't the standout part, that's certainly possible. That being said, if the melody is great, then like I said, it's the face of the song. The chances of the song becoming great because it has a great melody is very high. So how do you define good melodies, great melodies? Before we get into that, we need to understand a couple concepts. The first one is directions. The second one is what I call tunefulness. The direction is the simpler of the concept. A melody is always going up or going down, or I suppose it could be staying static. When a melody goes up, it's energizing, it's building energy. When it goes down, it is deflating energy. And then of course, staying on the same note achieves neither. It's just keeping the energy steady, right? And mature songwriters instinctively understand this. Let's say your words are talking about how you finally got home and then you are at peace and you can relax, right? Delivering that line through a melody that goes up will feel odd because it doesn't match the energy and the sentiment of the words. You want to have a line that goes down so that it deflates energy and it kind of help you feel relaxed and achieves the kind of feeling that the words are wanting to convey. The concept of tunefulness is something I came up with to describe the nature of the melody in terms of how it can inherently hold the audience's attention. Tuneful melody is one where if you took the words out and if you play the melody on an instrument, it's still interesting enough to hold the audience attention. Untuneful melody is static and, dare I say, monotonous or boring enough so that if it doesn't really make sense without words and it requires the words to be matched against it to be something that audience will think it's worth listening to. So by definition, instrumental melodies should be all tuneful, whereas untuneful melodies, you'd be surprised if you listen to songs, even great songs, and then kind of try to pick out the melody on an instrument and just try to listen to it without the words, and then you kind of go, well, by itself without words it just doesn't do much. It doesn't really hold your attention. Now I'm fully aware that those words I chose for this concept make it seem like tuneful melodies are good and untuneful melodies are bad, but not necessarily. You have to understand how each type of melodies, what their effect is on the overall song, what they are good at and what they're not so good at, so that you can choose the right approach that is correct for a given part of your song. I would say that tuneful melodies have slight edge in terms of making the overall song more memorable and making it more catchy or hooky. But the challenge with tuneful melodies is that they don't necessarily focus the audience attention on the words, and it's a little more challenging, not impossible by any means, but it's a little more difficult to find the words that perfectly match the melody, since the melody kind of exists without the concern or regard for the words. And if you're not careful, the words and the melodies don't exactly fit together and sometimes can create tension or awkwardness that you wouldn't have if you were just listening to the tuneful melodies instrumentally without words. On the other hand, untuneful melodies, they focus the audience attention on the words. They are more natural sounding as far as vehicle for delivering words. It's easier to create lines that really feel like it's not forced, it's not contrived, it just feels very personal, intimate, speech-like. And that has its own place in the song. A song made up of mostly untuneful melodies, they still can be great, especially if you are delivering really meaningful or catchy or hooky words through your untuneful melodies. In fact, untuneful melodies are better in some of those situations. Tuneful melodies are more musically interesting, but it's a little harder to marry with words. If you can do both and have really interesting, catchy, meaningful words matched with tuneful melodies, of course that's like the best of the both worlds, but it's not always, it's not needed firstly, and that sometimes really if you're wanting to come across more confessional, more personable, or more storytelling or something like that, untuneful melodies are better suited for those purposes. Whereas if you want to create hooks, something that people hum even when they don't know the words, if they want something to be catchy or memorable, then yeah, tuneful melodies are better suited for that. Also understand that this is not an either or proposition, in that it's a spectrum, and even within a particular melody there could be tuneful sections and untuneful sections. So it is a spectrum and a melody falls somewhere in the middle most of the time. But understanding their effect and what they are good and not so good at will help determine what approach is right for each of the section of the song. Now, untuneful melodies are easier to write because they are more static and they're more predictable as far as sort of the musical nature of it is concerned. Tuneful melodies require a little bit more effort, and there are 4 characteristics of tuneful melodies, or qualities that make a line tuneful. And once you understand this, you'll be able to figure out what you're hearing or what might fit whatever is going on with the rest of the music. You'll be able to pick them and then be able to write the right melodies for the context of the music that you're writing. The first one is a healthy mix of jumps and stepwise motions. So when you have a line that is mostly stepwise, that feels very, in a way, comforting or predictable, right? It doesn't really stick to your ears as something distinct. Whereas jumps are much more attention grabbing. That's a lot more interesting to listen to than that. But then if you have a bunch of jumps, then it can sound really jagged and mechanical. So a great tuneful melody balances out big jumps and stepwise motion, and that seems to be the sweet spot as far as creating tuneful melodies that are really pleasant to listen to, but also will come across as beautiful or powerful or great as far as melody is concerned, something interesting to latch onto when you're listening to it. Another trait that can make a melody more tuneful is rhythmic patterns. Rhythm is a foundation of music, and the melodies, whether they're moving with big jumps or stepwise, when they follow distinct rhythmic patterns, it adds interest to the particular line. It's much more interesting to listen to than. The third quality that makes a tuneful melody is right amount of notes. It's really easy for musicians to cram a lot of notes in that are not needed, and especially if you're wordy kind of writers. Again, each syllable constitutes a note in melody, and having too many of them can really be distracting or taking away from the possibility or the potential of that melody to be much more iconic and easy to remember. If there are too few notes, obviously it doesn't sound like a melody. It doesn't, just like feels like a series of long notes, so that's not good either. But tuneful melody is one where you remove all excess notes and just leave just the right amount of notes, enough to frame the melody and movement, and land on the right time where it makes an impact. And the result is a melody that is a lot catchier and a lot more well defined and articulate, so that again it sticks to the audience ears better. The fourth quality of tuneful melody is the arched shapes. And this, I have to chalk it up to the mysterious power of music, but apparently it's very pleasing to our ears to have a line that goes up and down or down up. Even if it's mostly with stepwise motion and otherwise it doesn't feel all that interesting, having lines that goes it just seems very pleasing to listen to. And it might be because there are a lot of waveforms in nature, and obviously sound itself is waveforms, frequencies of sound that is traveling through time and space. Who knows? But even if you don't have a lot of jumps, or even if you don't have a lot of great rhythmic patterns in your melody, if you write arched melodies, that will make it tuneful. So once you understand these four qualities that can make melodies tuneful, you can start to incorporate into your writing and improve the tunefulness of your melody if you feel that that's what the song calls for. One of the classic patterns in songwriting is to have untuneful melodies for verses and tuneful melodies in chorus. It's because a verse serve as the setup and perhaps storytelling moments, and focusing the audience attention on the words there helps sort of set up the chorus. And for the chorus, you want to put sort of premium on how catchy and hooky that section is, so you rely on the tunefulness of the melody. Whether the words there are particularly distinct or not, if the melody is quality, it will certainly create an impression in the audience's minds. If you're a beginner songwriter, you still might go, well, okay, it's easy for you to say, well, jumps and stepwise and things like that. Like, how do you go about writing tuneful melodies? Well, I did do a video about this a while ago that is still very popular, so I will link to that video here. But suffice it to say, one of the easier places to start in terms of writing tuneful melodies is to take out the notes that are in the chorus, in the harmony, and then kind of create lines that sort of weave through the notes in the chorus, and that when the chord changes, you want to land the melody also on one of the notes in that chord too. So understanding the tunefulness concept, you can start to think in terms of, okay, so what I do with my songs that I'm working on, right? If you can make a whole song with nothing but tuneful melodies, it certainly will make the song interesting to listen to, and you're not relying on the strength of the words, perhaps catchy turn of phrase and things like that to make the song interesting. So if you feel like you don't have a strong voice as a lyricist, then focusing on writing tuneful melodies certainly will up your game as a songwriter. On the other hand, if you feel strongly that your strength is on the lyric side, or if you have things that are really important to say, or really important that the audience really hear and understand, then more untuneful melodies, but working with words in that context of untuneful melodies is certainly a good way to go about writing your songs. And like I said earlier, you can mix and match between different sections. It's very, very common to have verses that are untuneful and choruses that are tuneful. Maybe perhaps bridge will be untuneful again. Maybe revealing something important in the bridge about the story or about the message. So you want to kind of keep a more static, untuneful melody there and have the audience focus on the words and then go back into the soaring chorus kind of thing. Alright, so let's pick out some melodies and see how these concepts apply. So here's one. I don't need anything else, just the melody, and you can already tell what the song is. The Beatles' Hey Jude is just such classic. Paul McCartney is a master at writing tuneful melodies and still match it with words that are very meaningful, right? And then notice here, that's a small jump. Notice there is a big jump, right? And it goes down, so it just has a settling feeling. That's a big jump up, right? Notice how that jump creates this almost sense of longing, right? Like it's like, ah. Take a sad song and it's so beautiful. When you write tuneful melodies, like I said, it can make a song just right there. Okay, let's look at another one. Must Take On Me is just a beautiful melody throughout. It doesn't need anything else, and you can instantly pick it out. And again, it just incorporates the patterns that we've been talking about, right? Like, look at this huge jump in the main melody going down in the chorus, and it starts out super low so it can build energy all the way up. That's technically that's a major seventh. It's like as far as you can go without going to the octave. This whole chorus section is just a big jumps going up and up and up. It just really sort of lifts the song. It just makes the song feel like it's taking off. And then there's also that rhythmic motif too, right? Right? Ta 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 ta. It's just very rhythmically kinetic, that riff. Okay, how about this one?
And she's buying the stairway to heaven.
So Stairway to Heaven has this beautiful, gorgeous melody. Not much jumps in there, it's just nice arches. So the jumps are, again, harder to write, harder to do it well. If you feel uncomfortable with having to find the right jumps in your song, and if they feel too dramatic, I recommend you play with arches, and it can work beautifully. Okay, this one is slightly lesser well known compared to the other big hits that I played, but it goes like this. So that's the Cranberries Zombie, and that is less tuneful than other songs that I played, right? Yeah, you can kind of listen to it, but there are many repeated notes and the jumps are not big, and it kind of stays in the same place. There are some rhythmic gestures in there that makes the melody distinct, that serve the words, but again, because it's less tuneful, you tune into the words, and the words have very strong significance in this song, so that still works. How about this one? So the R.E.M's It's the End of the World as We Know It has is pretty tuneful chorus there, but the famous part of this song is that machine gun and very untuneful section of the verse where he rattles off all the words, right? It just, as you play it on the instrument, it goes like that, right? Like you wouldn't listen to that played instrumentally, but that's the vehicle for delivering the words that it goes so fast that it's not totally intelligible, like you can't really pick out everything that he's saying, but the point comes across really well, and that was the right choice for that song and the intent of that song, to have that very untuneful section delivering words and then cap it with chorus that is tuneful. I bet you wouldn't recognize this next song if I played this verse part. So that's you know, although there are some movements to it, I would say that's kind of a untuneful melody, and there are a lot of words to that. But then when we get to the chorus, we didn't start the fire. So that's a nice arched melody with distinct rhythmic pattern going on. Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." On the other end of the spectrum, if I play something like this, I mean, like, well, I mean what is that? I mean, that's not distinct enough, right? But then this song has more melodic, tuneful melody in other places, like. Now that's much more memorable, right? It has distinct rhythmic pattern. Judas Priest, Breaking the Law, very, very well-known signature song of that illustrious band. But when you just listen to the chorus, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. He's going breaking the law, right? And so that's where the words are very important, and the chorus being tuneful, you don't need that. All right, I'll play something that resembles a much more modern big hit. See if you recognize this one. That's Taylor Swift's Cruel Summer, and a classic example of untuneful verse and tuneful choruses. And Taylor Swift considers herself to be a strong lyricist, and she has a lot to say through her words, and she has a particular turn of phrases that you notice there were a lot of notes in those static parts of the verse that where she fitting a lot of words in there, and that's part of her style. So having untuneful verse and tuneful melody really works in terms of that chorus delivering the hook in a different parts of her range so that it stands apart from the low and wordy verse and making it memorable to the listeners. So in summary, when you understand the effect of direction of the melody, when you understand the nature of tunefulness of the melody and how it affects the song and the words, you can start to navigate the songwriting process and go, this part seems a little bit boring because it's kind of an untuneful melody, but there's nothing super interesting going on with words, right? Here's a chorus, we want to have more tuneful melodies, you know, create big jumps or nice arches to make the melody more memorable or appealing. There are all kinds of things that you can do, and you can keep working on the melodies until you are satisfied with what they do in the song, and then as the face of the song, these melodies represent what you need that to do for your song. It's the kind of concept where once you understand it, you don't unlearn it ever. You just not look at the music the same way, and then you'll be able to listen to any melodies and songs and be able to understand what's going on. And that includes your own songs that are in progress, where you can look at it and go, yeah, that should probably maybe be a little bit more tuneful there, right? May you be able to make that kind of assessment, and you can keep working on until everything is perfect for your song. Alright, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching. I hope this video gave you new ways to look at melodies that really made you look at music in a new and different way. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.